Hello there, welcome along. So the Six Nations is back after Gap Week round 3 upon us. As ever, rugby coverage in Indo Sport brought to you by Energia. They sponsor rugby in Ireland at all levels. Grassroots with the AIL. They are official energy partner to Leinster, Connacht, the Irish men's and women's teams. The Energia Rugby for All initiative supports inclusion, welcoming everyone of all abilities to participate in the game. And to learn more about Energia's rugby partnerships and find out about their exclusive home energy offer for rugby fans, you can visit energia.ie/rugby, and we are very happy to have them on board. A few bits of housekeeping. If you want to follow us on YouTube, we have a YouTube channel. Just go to the search engine within YouTube and type in @Indo Sport Podcast, and you'll get everything that we do. So @Indo Sport Podcast, it's our dedicated YouTube channel. And if you want to email us, we're doing a little mailbag edition of Bits and Bobs tomorrow. indosportpodcast@independent.ie is where you can send us in your curated thoughts. And as ever, if you're looking for more rugby coverage from us, The Left Wing with Will Slattery and Luke Fitzgerald comes at you most Tuesdays generally, but certainly every week. Rory O'Connor's here in studio. Hello.
Hey, Joe.
And Eddie O'Sullivan back with us. Hey, Eddie.
Hey, guys.
We'll come to the Irish team in a moment, which has been named. First, let me ask you this. You're an up-and-coming young coach. Things are going very well. And you're now being linked with the Welsh job. You are Simon Easterby. There's rumours of Easterby. They like the look of him. He obviously lives in Wales, former Scarlets captain and coach. His wife, Sarah Elgin, immersed in rugby. Their 2 children over in Wales as well. There's talk of Franco Smith. There's some talk of Michael Cheika. So, Eddie, you're Easterby. Things are going well. But listen, Simon, this is your chance to be a head coach of a Tier 1 nation. These chances don't come along very often. You can do another 10 years as number 2. Andy Farrell could be there for a long time. O'Gara's sniffing around. This is your chance to be a head coach in the Six Nations at a World Cup. Are you coming?
I was Simon Easterby. I'd politely decline that one. Here's what I think it would probably be better off steering clear of it. It's just 2 sides for it. One is Wales are in huge trouble. We all know that. It's been talked up and down the hill. For Wales to come back to where they want to be in terms of being competitive Six Nations and, you know, climbing the world rankings, it's a massive turnaround job. And it's not just the head coach's job. There's whole structural issues, there's financial issues, the issues with the clubs are not functioning. So, like, Wales is in a really bad place, and we've talked about this ad nauseum, and it's a bad thing for the game. But I think Simon's situation is that for him to go into that now was your first head coaching gig, and take all that on board and try and turn all that around, and, you know, be the Superman hero for Welsh rugby. I think it's a massive, massive risk for him. I think where he's at the moment, he's the heir apparent to the Irish job. He's hugely respected in Ireland. He's played for Ireland. He's an Irishman. So I think it'd be a huge risk for him to jump that, because, to be fair to everybody involved in Wales, this is not just a one-man, you know, rescue situation. Like, whoever goes to get the Welsh job is not going to turn Welsh rugby around with the national team. Now, what they can do is they can improve the fortunes of the team, raise the morale around the game, but it's a very steep hill to climb. I think Simon, in my view, and again, this is always his decision, but I think where he is now is a really good place for him. He's a very stable program. He's with a very, very good team, which seems to be getting better as we go. And in the long term, I think he's the heir apparent. So when you weigh it all up like that, I just don't see it as a viable option for him.
Interesting. So you think currently he's ahead of Raj and any other pretenders?
Yeah, I think we talked about this. We touched on this for the Scotland game. Yeah, I think he is, because the RFU know him. He knows the RFU. The team, the players know him. He understands the system, and the Irish team is getting better. The depth chart is getting deeper. So Ireland look to be in a good place going forward. And you know, we the fact that he's got the gig as well. I mean, if he hadn't got the gig with Andy Farrell going to the Lions, I think now maybe it's a conversation. But I think the fact that he was handed a job to take Ireland through the Six Nations with Farrell away, I think that to me is a doff of the cap that you're next man up here, unless you muck it up, and there's no evidence that that's going to happen. So for all those reasons, to me, it doesn't make any sense to take on what is a mammoth task in Wales and probably, not much thanks at the end of it, as Warren Gatland found out himself.
Rory?
Yeah, I'd heard before anything happened with Gatland that the WRU were interested in Easterby, and that he is, if not their number one, but very high up on their list of people they wanted to talk to about the long term, because I think it's happened sooner than expected, but there was an expectation that Gatland would move on after the Six Nations. And you can see why they're attracted towards him. But like Eddie, I don't know. I don't see the attraction back for Easterby. Even just you listen to Warren Gatland speaking to the Telegraph this week about his experience and life in that goldfish bowl. Like, Easterby kind of has the best of both worlds. He's working in a high functioning, high performance environment and living in a different country. So even if things go wrong, his kids are going to school somewhere else. He's not kind of going to buy a bottle of milk and everyone's talking to him about how Ireland got on at the weekend, and that's what life would be like for him if he took over the Wales job. Now, I'm sure there's part of him being an ambitious, competitive animal that would relish the challenge, but when he weighs it all up, I think that the balance, if he writes down the list of the pros and cons of going or staying, the pros are all on the Irish side. The only thing for him is I'm sure he will, if he hasn't already, I'm sure he's spoken to David Humphreys about the long-term succession planning and where he stands in that competition, and I'm sure O'Gara will definitely come into the equation and has forced his way into that equation with his record. But I don't see Andy Farrell leaving in 2027 as it stands. I think he's a little bit like Simon Easterby. He's very comfortable in his own position. He's living in Dublin. He loves it here. His family love it here. His son is quite early in the secondary school stage, so he'll be approaching leaving cert age at that point. So if things are still going well, which is no guarantee, there will be, and not every team's progression is linear. But if Farrell is still going well and we're heading into 2027, I can see him signing up for another couple of years. So that's what Easterby has to weigh up. They're the big things.
That is the one. So say Farrell does another 4 years after this cycle, that's 2031, so that's 2032 before maybe, Simon, you get your chance.
Yeah.
And a lot can change.
He's still a young man. I mean, in coaching terms, he's still young, but I guess will his stock ever be higher than it is right now?
Well, that's the thing. That's when you're weighing it up. He can negotiate a great package with the Welsh Union. Gatland did. And, you get to tick off that major life ambition, tier 1 test coach. Nobody can take that away from me. I guess to Eddie's point, it might be ruinous. It might go that badly. You may never get another job again. That's the downside, Eddie, I guess.
The massive undertaking in Wales, let's be honest, it's not just the national team. That's the shop window, and that's the one that gets talked about the most. But the system, the problems within the system in Wales it's very hard to see Wales digging themselves out of this hole in the short term. You go into that situation and you're firefighting from day one. You're trying to establish yourself as the head coach. It's just a really, really difficult job. Probably the other thing as well, the one thing that maybe takes Andy Farrell away from Ireland is actually probably the England job. If England came to knocking at the right time, I think that's a job that would probably interest him, because he's an Englishman as well. He probably would have ambitions. He mightn't say it publicly to coach England. And I think he'd be highly respected there. It's not like he'd be heading off to coach Australia or South Africa or some other country that he has an attachments to. And that could bring the next Irish coach up a little quicker. Now, I don't know if that'll happen. I'm just speculating.
Sure.
But, maybe that's always a possibility. That's a twist. Because Farrell, again, what might be seen, like, he had a very good run in Ireland as assistant coach, an exceptional run as a head coach. It's all going well at the moment. But, let's say the next World Cup, like where we are at the moment, let's project down the road. What's the narrative going into the next World Cup? Semi-final. Nothing else will matter. And if for some reason that didn't happen, and we all know that it's a funny animal, the World Cup, would Andy Farrell reconsider and go, maybe, England come to, there's a dynamic there that could suddenly take him out from Ireland. Like, he's in huge demand, Andy Farrell, hugely respected, Lions coach. If the Lions win the Test series in the autumn, again, his stock goes up again, albeit against Australia, but this Test series winning with the Lions. So that those sands could shift. They seem very stable at the moment.
Yeah.
The job, everyone's in position, everything's working well, but those sands could shift after World Cup. England could come calling, and Simon could find himself at the front of the line very quickly.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, fair points. Sit tight. By the way, his comments today. So he said, I mean, all of this, no, it's suitably deaf language experience here speaking. He shoots it down, but actually never shoots it down at any stage. So he said, I didn't really know that I had been linked to the Wales job. He smiled. So, yeah. So he said, and listen, if you hear him shutting it down, you tell me. I love what I do here. I've been in this position with the team for a long time. It's a dream job. Very fortunate to work with the people I get to work with. Right now, this is my only focus. I've had no contact with the WRU. Beautifully done.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
Expect.
We'll see.